So due to the fact that we're going to be doing a lot of residential leases from here into the end of the year, and we keep working with one of our clients, I wanted to go ahead and make a video just to walk you through how it's filled out and why is it filled out. It's pretty straightforward, but I just wanted you to become familiar with it. Here, as you can see, it's a residential lease. If you want to, and I'll teach you how to get these forms to fill them out. You can fill them out. It's all fillable online. But here, pretty simple. The parties, number one, the landlord would be the owner of the property, and the tenant's name would be whoever the tenant is. And the property, the legal address, and I'll teach you where to get the legal address here shortly, just so you can have it. So, for example, the address for this home here, as we can see, is 927 West First Street. And we can always go to Realist and get the legal description of it. And we can put the address right here, 927 Westford, right here. That's the address. It's in Houston. You click here, and then the legal address is going to be right here. See, legal description. So where do I get this from? When you go to Matrix, and when you're putting up comps, or you want to add pictures to our listings or whatever, you go here to public records and you go down to realist tax, and it'll give you all the information that you may need to input right here in the contract itself. So like I said, you put the address, the legal description. It's in Harris County, and sometimes it'll be in other counties, right? But you can still go to realist right here, and they'll teach you how to do it. In the commencement, right? When it starts and when does it expire? For the most part, sometimes it's a little longer, but for the most part, we do 12 months lease. If it's longer, it would be my duty to go ahead and tell you how long the period is. And then here it says automatic renewal and notice of termination. We give them the lease automatically renews on a month-to-month basis unless landlord or tenant provided the other written party notice of termination not less than 30 days before the expiration date. So it's basically telling the tenant that they need to give us a 30-day notice before the termination if they don't choose to renew or if they want to move out. If the lease automatically renews on a month-to-month basis, it will continue to renew on a month-to-month basis until either party provides written notice of termination to the other party, and notice of termination will be effective. And we can click the first one. On the last day of the month following the month in which the notice is given, landlord is not obligated to prorate rent, even if tenant surrenders the property before the termination date. And of course, the monthly rent, this is whatever the rental amount that was agreed upon, and when the first payment is due. And this is a form of payments that people can make: cashier's check, electronic payment, money order, personal check, or any other means acceptable to the landlord. And they're due on the first day of each month during the lease, unless something else is negotiated. Place of payment, this is very important. Now, like in this case here, this owner, he wanted his payment collected, deposited into his bank account. He didn't want to have to go worry about picking it up, and it's just a bit more convenient for him. So we have to make sure that we have this correct address. In this case, it was a credit union, along with the account number and the address, so they can go and make those payments, right? And again, method of payment: cashier's check, electronic payment, whatever's agreed to upon the landlord and the tenant, right? And then it says landlord here requires tenants to pay monthly rents by one payment. So we don't want, hey, let me pay you half this month and half the other month. No, you got to pay it in full every single month. Late charges, okay? So if the landlord doesn't actually receive a rent payment in the full amount at the designated place of payment by the 3rd of each month by almost 12 o'clock, tenant will pay landlord for each late payment. The first time is going to be a $50 late charge, and then after that it's going to be $25 per day. So this is going to be somewhat like a template. It really never changes. Like a return payment. So let's say they pay him with a check. That's why we asked them to deposit it, to avoid this. But in case he accepts a check for whatever reason, there will be a $50 charge for each payment that the tenant pays, and it bounces back like whatever check. So let's assume that and for a pet deposit, the pet deposit is always $300, and it's always non-refundable. In case they have a dog inside the house, dogs mess up things, and hey, I mean, that's just the cost of keeping a pet. So let's just assume that they try to sneak one in. They don't want to let the landlord know. Here, in case that the dog, we find out there's a dog afterwards, we would put here that they have to pay an initial amount of $300. That's non-refundable. and $25 per day thereafter per pet for each day tenant violates the pet restrictions, if there's any. So even if there's not a pet restriction, you still have to tell the landlord, hey, I got a dog. Okay, cool. That's going to cost you a $300 non-refundable deposit, and it's $25 extra a month per pet. The security deposit, for the most part, is always the same amount as the rent amount. And again, it can get paid in cashier's check, personal check, money order, or anything that was agreed to upon by the landlord and the tenant. Let me see here. We keep it going. Utilities. Bear with me here. This thing got stuck right here. Come on. All right, there he goes. All right. So, so right here, guys, give me just a second. Okay. Come on. Okay. So this right here, guys, here below, the utilities, the properties that we most of the time represent, they don't have, it's not all bills paid. So the tenant has to be responsible for their water, gas if it, and of course electricity. That's whoever they want to use. And the occupants, we don't know who's going to be living in the home: kids, wife, grandma, everyone. Um, and also the guest. So a tenant may not permit any guest to stay on the property longer than the amount of time permitted by an owner association rule or restrictive covenant, or 10 days without landlord's written permission, whichever is less. So let's just say, you got your cousin wanting to stay over or whatever, he can only stay there 10 days. We find out there's another person there, and if they want to go ahead and go half on the rent, well, we have to run his credit and all the good stuff, like if he's a brand new tenant. Most of the time, depending on the size of the home, we will allow up to 4 vehicles, no more than 4 vehicles in the driveway. Sometimes people get out of hand and half of those cars don't work. Trip charge. So if the landlord has to go out there for any reason, like there is like a pet or they got loose or a complaint or something, it's $100 trip charge. Or if they lost keys and they have to, replace those keys, it's $100 trip charge. Okay, and also, I'll take you guys here shortly, but let's assume that the landlord has to go and fix a clogged up toilet that the tenant caused, a clogged up sink that the tenant caused. Anything that they've done to the home that basically damaged it, and the landlord has to go pay for it. It's going to be $100 charge for each time that they go back. So in here, this is for the lockbox. So during the last 60 days of the lease, the tenant is supposed to allow the landlord to put the key, put the lockbox on there, so we can possibly start showing it and getting it ready for another tenant. In the due case that the tenant may not be, renewing and wanting to move out. So let's just say the tenant doesn't want us to put a lockbox. He doesn't want to show it. Okay, no problem. But as a consideration for withdrawing that and having to wait until he moves out and then finding a tenant, he's got to pay us $500. And again, these numbers, these figures here, guys, is going to be the same no matter what. This is very important. The moving condition. Tenant will complete an inventory and condition form. I'll show you guys where to get these forms at. They're right here in the system that we use. But they have to deliver it back to the landlord within the first 5 days of being there. If something needs to be addressed, if something's messed up, that's what the form is there for. If they call us 20 days, 30 days later, well, obviously it's up to the landlord to address it at that time. All right, so let's keep it moving. So basically, this is pretty much straightforward. If when the tenant moves out and he leaves his personal property, obviously all that's going to be left to throw in the trash, and obviously it's going to affect them getting the deposit back, because now the landlord needs to pay to clean up the property. So in property maintenance, yard maintenance, to water the grass and all that good stuff, trim the trees, that is not up to the landlord. That is on the responsibility of the tenant. If we're not offering a lawn service, this is, renting a house, that comes with the territory. All right. And if there is a repair request, obviously we need a good number where the landlord can be reached. And just a second, completion of repairs. Okay, so we don't want tenants to start repairing anything if it's something that it's on the landlord, because sometimes they won't do it right, and then it's just a bigger headache for the landlord. And that's pretty much it, guys. Everything is pretty much, the same. But this here, like special provision, as I was saying, the landlord is not responsible for the toilet, garbage disposal, or sink clogs, or replacement of light bulbs or any air filters. Should the landlord have to come out to repair or replace any of the items, it will be $100 service trip to the tenant. So we're addressing this up front, and we have to make sure that they understand it, because if, they'll pull a stunt and be, oh no, I didn't sign that. That's why this is here. What I love about the trade contract for landlords is that it's so pro landlord and it protects them really, really well. So other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. So let's assume that the tenant's gonna move out or he wants to sublease it, in the middle of his contract, he has someone coming in. I'm like, okay, fine, but you still have to pay me 1 month of rent just in case that person replacing you doesn't work out because we don't know them or anything like that. And here obviously tenant at the property and a copy too. That means that the tenant has received this. We'll put his name on there along with his phone number and email if applies. Landlord, the same thing. All right. And then here, if something, God forbid, were to happen to your tenants and somebody needs to come pick up their stuff, God forbid they die, they get arrested. Unfortunately, sometimes they may get deported. We just don't know. They may get sick. We need a good contact information for the person that can come and pick up their stuff if need be. So in here, this is very important, guys. Landlord's broker. We never act as the property manager for the landlord. If you do, that's on you. But for the most part, we don't want those headaches. Let that landlord deal with it, and you put his information down here. And that's pretty much it, guys. And this is just for landlord uses on whatever date the landlord provided a copy of the lease. This is the date. This is the name of the tenant, and we keep it going. So I hope you guys learned something. And on the next, you know what? Quick thing here. Let me go right here, guys, just so I can teach you. You know what? I'll show you on the next video how to work with transactions desk altogether. All right. So I will see you guys on the next one.